Tighnari is the new flagship. He's the first 5-star Dendro character. He's the first 5-star of the banner, accompanied by 2 other new characters and some rerun. Whoever gets rerun with these 3 guys is going to get shafted so hard in terms of popularity. He's a Dendro bow character. His stuff that you see here, you can find information about farming him pretty easily on the internet. The one thing we need to take away from the percentage here is that he's 28% Dendro damage bonus. Right? Dendro damage bonus, which is fine. It's not crit rate or crit damage, which is also fine. He does have a low base attack. Azuri pointed this out to me in the Discord. He has a really low base attack. If we compare it to other characters, Ganyu has, if I remember correctly, 343 base attack, whilst Tighnari he has 206, which could heavily hinder his actual value of his attacks, but I think because of the playstyle that they're trying to go for here, it's going to be quite alright. I think, I'll explain in just a second, but I think the playstyle they're going for is going to be fine for him. He's got one unique thing with his charge attack, which is he has a second level of his charge attack, which is like the same thing as Ganyu. If you've seen Ganyu gameplay, charge up his attack, it has an extra effect at the end. That's fine. The thing to take away is that his first level of aim shot or charge attack at level 13 is 263.5% damage, which is, you know, expected of a charge attack. But if you look at his Wreath Arrow, which is the second level of the charge, it drops down by 185.3%. So down essentially like 60 to 80%. 60 to 80% of the whole percentage. Which you might be wondering, why is the second charge like lower damage than the initial charge or the first charge? It's because it also triggers Cluster Bloom Arrow, which essentially on impact of his second tier charge attack, that arrow will split into 4 shots here, but depending on which constellation you have, it might be 5. C6 gives another one. I'll explain that later. But yeah, it splits into 4 extra arrows, which then are each of a value of 82.03%. Now, listen, this equation right here in my little notepad is essentially it. With just the C1, charge attack level 1, you get 263.5%. I say the wrong numbers all the time. You get 263.5% damage out of that. Whilst with this charge attack 2, you get 513.42, which is more damage if you do some general number comparison. It's pretty simple. That's the only unique thing about his normal attack, is that he has a second charge that splits his arrows. And he's also the first character in the game to have this effect of shooting something or having his projectiles home in, because the 4 Cluster Bloom arrows that come out after the initial hit of his second charge is they do home in. Now, how the homing works, I don't know. Even in gameplay, I haven't really seen like it work too much. I haven't seen examples of it. But I'm pretty sure it just homes in on the nearest enemy. I don't think it homes in on the one that you actually shot, which might prove a problem in AoE. For single target, he's going to be probably 10 out of 10 character, but for AoE, it seems to be a bit weird. Anyway, onto his elemental skill. Tighnari throws something and deals AoE Dendro damage, and it creates the Kanda field. Does some stuff. It puts enemies into confusion. I don't know if that's another effect they're adding, maybe like petrification, Zhongli's petrification. But it's another like kind of extra effect that isn't an elemental reaction, from my knowledge at least. So yeah, they get hit by confusion in this field. Additionally, Tighnari gains the Vagina Penetrator effect, which decreases the next Wreath Arrow's charge time by 1.5 seconds. So it's actually quite a hefty reduction in charge time, and you can only have 3 Wreath Arrows have their charge reduction. Isn't Yoimiya arrows too? Yeah, she does have those fireworks on her second charge. They're kind of like not even a main part of her kit though. If you're talking about a normal attack, that's a slight kind of home in. It's not homing into the same level that Tighnari's is, or Tighnari, sorry. It's not the same level of homing. There is a slight homing on Yoimiya's normal attack, but Tighnari's is like essentially it will home in till it hits. But again, I haven't played Yoimiya in a long time, so I'm not exactly sure. Just yeah, homing in missiles. Anyway, his skill it decreases 3 Wreath Arrows charge time by 1.5 seconds, and I noted here that it does have like 100% uptime even without any constellations. You have the ability; it will have a 12-second duration. With a 12-second cooldown. Not the actual field itself, but the charge arrow kind of portion of it will have a 12-second duration. whilst the actual field that causes confusion has an 8-second duration, which is, it's fine. I don't think the duration is actually going to be a major factor of his whole kit, so don't really take it into consideration in anything, really. As for his elemental burst, he just shoots out 6 arrows. He shoots out 6 arrows that deal damage, and then these arrows each split into more arrows, or maybe they bounce again. I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't word it particularly amazingly, but essentially the thing I said is that that's the initial value, 6 times 118.19%, supposedly. And after that, you also have apparently those arrows splitting again into more arrows. So theoretically, it's 709% plus 866% damage. I don't know how accurate that equation is, because how many arrows actually come out after the initial split is not clear. After they hit, the Tangible Vine shafts will create a secondary wave of Tangible Vine shafts. So maybe it's 1 extra arrow, or rather maybe the arrow bounces. But regardless, even if it is the way that I said it, where the arrows just kind of double down, it is a lot of damage. 709 plus 866 is a lot of extra damage. 1,500%, which is higher than most characters' elemental bursts. But the reason the actual individual arrow value is low, and that's also theoretical value, the actual arrow value is low because I think the build, again, now I'll explain what I meant earlier by what kind of build they're going for, is heavy single target with low numbers on every hit, but very high amounts of hit. They're trying to make you hit a lot, not actually do one massive hit. So with Tighnari, you won't be doing like 50 Ks per shot. Maybe some people will, maybe Tony Toe will. But yeah, per shot, you won't be doing 50k. You'll probably be doing 10k, but you'll be doing 5 10k hits, essentially equaling to a same amount of damage, but just over many different hits. As for cooldown and burst cost, 12-second cooldown, 40 energy cost. He's just a quick fire character. You can use him as a swap-in character, press his burst, press his E, shoot 2 shots, leave, or shoot 3 shots rather than leave. Or you can use him as an active character because he already has a super low burst cost, and you'll be able to use his burst like probably twice within one massive burst window of buffs. Which is the main thing to take away from him. That's probably going to be his general playstyle. Again, talent materials and all that stuff, you can find that on the internet. It's not too hard. You can also even use this website, Honey Impact, amazing. He's the first character to have the unique Sumeru resources. So if you want to find the specialties, which is probably going to be hard, I'll be honest. I think finding specialties in Sumeru is probably going to be pretty hard because of foliage. I've seen a bit of the terrain. It looks to be very the Amazon. Imagine the Amazon. That's pretty much what it's going to be like. So yeah, maybe having this character might be a bit of value. Anyway. His first passive after Tighnari fires his Wreath Arrow, which is his second charge, his Elemental Mastery increased by 50%. Maybe take that into consideration. That is an Elemental Mastery character. And maybe that his weapon also might scale with Elemental Mastery. Who knows? Who knows? That's actually how it is. For every point of Elemental Mastery, and this is his second passive, for every point of Elemental Mastery, Tighnari possesses, his charge attack and his Elemental Burst damage are increased by 0.05%. To a maximum of 50 this way. It takes a total of 1,000 Elemental Mastery to get the maximum amount of value out of this second passive. You need to literally have 1,000 fucking Elemental Mastery to actually get this whole 50%. But with the amount of Elemental Mastery potential boosting that he has throughout his whole kit, and including Constellations, and if you combo him with a few other characters, maybe like Hazo even. Hazo has Elemental Mastery boosting. And if you just run an Elemental Mastery build on him even, you can probably get some high damage value, but that's still to be determined on how good it is. Anyway, Constellations now. This is obviously a bit more a contentious area because people don't really roll for Constellations anymore. C1, charge attack crit rate is increased by 15%, pushing him a bit more towards charge attack Andy. You want to always do those level 2 Wreath attacks to get, 15% increased crit rate. C2 is pretty much a 20% Dendro bonus when you have his skill up. That's all it is. When his skill's there, 20% Dendro damage bonus. C4 is Elemental Mastery when you hit an enemy with your burst. And then if you cause an elemental reaction with your burst, you get an extra 60 Elemental Mastery. So already there, you have an extra 120 Elemental Mastery, which is fucking crazy. That goes towards that 1,000 that we need for the second passive. And then C6, probably the strongest C6 out there. One of the strongest in the game. And I mean just from a pure utilitarian... No, that's the wrong word. Utility standpoint. Just an overall decreased charge time, a flat decreased charge time of 0.9 seconds. I don't know why they did 0.9 seconds. Why not just 1 second? Why not just 1 fucking second? What's with this 0.9 bullshit? What is with this 0.9 bullshit? Regardless, a flat decrease in charge time by 0.9 seconds on his Wreath Arrow and will produce 1 additional Cluster Bloom Arrow. So on top of those 4 that you already get from his charge attack, you'll now get an additional 1, dealing a bit more damage. And that's essentially his whole kit. Listen, his playstyle will be single target Andy. That's all it is. He'll be doing single target damage. He's not going to do a single thing more. He doesn't do anything other than that. You expect AoE? Stop it. Stop it now. You expect massive room clearing? Stop it. That's wrong. He's just going to kill bosses really quickly. His Ascension materials, by the way, are also the new enemies coming into the game. But if you want to pre-farm for him, this material is available. What's it called again? Whoops. This fungal spores is available to farm right now if you so choose. You can farm it from the chasm. That's about it. Tighnari, or whatever the fuck his name is, he's gonna be a great single target character, but that's about it. On to the next character.